Good morning, traders. Kicking off a new week here. Everything's looking a little bit bullish here. These are my three main indicators that I use in the morning hours to justify bullish or bearish in the markets here. And so basically, I got the dollar. Uh, Dollar is still showing relative strength here. We're in a potential breakout above the central pivot range. Really, it's been holding out like a champ. Uh, so. Dollar in itself is not bullish or bearish to markets, but you know, uh, typically if the dollar comes in, it tends to be better for equities in general because it's becoming we're exporting our inflation to the countries around the world as the dollar continues to get stronger, and it's making it harder to sell our goods overseas because of that. So be mindful of that. So ideally, if that was a flat or coming down, it'd be even better. One thing that I do want to point out here that our VIX firmly below our central pivot range that was built out from Friday. So that's so that's a less volatility implied here to start the day. And then finally down here on our ZNs, the bond market. We initially took off this morning at a bid in the bond market. We are coming back down, back testing our central pivot range. So far, we haven't broken back down below it. Keeping a close eye on it here. Um, Things I'm thinking about the bonds themselves. I'm actually thinking that we're probably going to start seeing a uh, bid in the bonds themselves, bringing the yields down a little bit here, at least in the short term. We're due for a reset in the bonds, in my opinion. Uh, Ultimately, though, I do see uh, the short end of the curve, at least, seeing 6%. So at the very least, I'm looking for like the 2 year and 5 year, something like that. You're going to ultimately see 6% yields on those. So we haven't even got there yet on that. So that suggests that we still got some more upside going on here in the longer end of the yields. Uh, so that means the ZNs will be coming down, breaking recent lows if that plays out like I think it's going to. Okay. Uh, so bottom line is right here. The main reason I don't think the markets have quite finished bottoming yet. I think we're going to be coming down further. Actually targeting 4,200 here for the S&Ps to the downside. And in that scenario, what would be going on is with these higher yields going on in the bond market, uh, I can see investors selling S&Ps, SPX, uh, and selling a position in the S&Ps, and then going into the bond market, which in turn would drive down yields in the bond market. So that's why I'm kind of seeing if there's going to be a sustained position uh, scenario here. Uh, yields coming in just for a little bit here as investors are trying to position themselves for that possible scenario. Okay, let me see if I can pause this real quick. Okay, guys, so we have a clear gap below us here on the ES futures. So this kind of looks like an island top, which has not filled the gap. Okay, here on the ES futures. It's more relevant if you're using SPX, but I'm using ES here. But there is a gap here, so be mindful of that. Some things I'm looking at here. So we got 2 weeks above us here. Uh, and there's actually more than that, but yeah, even actually there's another week up here too. But these are weekly lows that we haven't. We've tried that 1 week here. Right here. Last week we tried to come up into that when that Nvidia earnings came out, and it got rejected hard on this weekly time frame. Okay, and so now we're fighting this in this pink line right here. That's our July lows for the ESs, and we're right there fighting that as well. Okay, so that's a couple things that we're fighting right here, and having a lot of trouble getting through it. So be mindful of that in today's session. Okay. So on my chart here, I've got 3 moving averages currently on the chart. The light blue one right here, that's our 50-day moving average. We're fighting that this morning here on the 4-hour. If you look on the daily time frame here on ES's, I do want to zoom in here real quick. We're currently trading below the 50 moving average, simple moving average, and that's been acting as resistance, all last week. So be mindful of that going forward. If I go down here on a smaller time frame now, and then there's the 100 and then the 200. Okay, and that 200 is targeting 4,200. So that's why I'm kind of really focused in on that 200. Okay, and we do have an untested volume point of control down here as well, below us here around the 4,200 as well. So that's another thing that I was looking at. So you zoom in here real quick. And so far here on the 1-hour time frame this morning. So we are a little bit mixed bag here. We got a cluster of moving averages on our 1-hour. And we are currently trying to trade above that cluster, which could be bullish for the afternoon session on the 1-hour time frame. So we'll see what happens here in today's session. Okay. I was looking for when I came in today that we were going to potentially rally somewhere between 44.40 and 44.60. That's what I was looking for, a potential double top area right here. And I have a trend line up here that puts us up into the 44.80 area. That's where our trend line is. So, that's something we could think about as well, because we are putting in a little bit higher low versus Thursday. Okay. And so even putting a higher high right here, that's very plausible that we could be coming up to this trend line up here before in today's session. So I'm going to put me a little box on there as that being a potential for today. Just right here, double topping Friday's highs, or was it Thursday's highs? We could be potentially double topping at Thursday's highs. That's a possibility here on ES's. So let's keep that on watch here. Now, I do want to point out here the NASDAQ has, in just the past 2 weeks, started acting just a little bit more bullish than the S&P. So I do want to keep that in the back of your minds here. We're still fighting the July lows, similar to what we got going on with the S&Ps here. We came up Thursday. End of July, 1st of August, we came up to that area and that weekly time frame, and we rejected that weekly time frame when that NVIDIA news came out. We do have a downward trend line here, okay, which we could be coming into that this week sometime. So that kind of thinks that we might be seeing sometime earlier on this week, either today or tomorrow, we might be coming, migrating up into that. So we do a hard test of that trend line up here on the top, sometime this week. We do have a lot of data coming out. Today we have some manufacturing data coming out, and then we have data about the housing market coming out. And some of the news coming out on this housing industry, it's amazing to me they have not just cratered the home builders. I mean, I'm just amazed the home builders are holding a bit at all. We are like 3-decade lows on building permits. It's astonishing. And, that type of news you would think would be just cratering the home builders. Because that's a forward-looking indicator. So, but so far that's not happening. But so I am going to be looking towards possible shorts in some of the home builders possibly today. So that's one thing I'm looking at. Okay. Another outside mover here this morning, Nat Gas. Nat Gas has a nice little bid early on this morning. We're not really outside of last week's highs yet, but we were trying early on this morning. We were right at that trying to break out of last week highs in nat gas this morning. So be mindful of that. If you draw a little trend line here, so we're probably technically broke out here. Yeah, so this downtrend, we're technically broke out right now on that. Uh, so the only thing we got to do now is take out the last week's highs, and it's off to the races. So let's keep an eye on that going forward here. The nat gas, so that might that's kind of surprising seeing what's going on with the dollar strength and nat gas doing that. And if you go over to crude oil's got a bid here today too. Okay. So we are above on the 1 hour, above our moving averages just to kick off the week. I've been calling bullishness here on crude oil. That's what I've been looking for. So despite a strong dollar, um, we are technically breaking above the downtrend line here this morning here on the 1 hour time frame. Uh, let's see, let's go over to daily real quick. I really haven't researched this real quick. Yeah, we're still in the range. We haven't broke out yet, but yeah, that looks like a bull flag possible breakout here. So, just be mindful of that. Possible bull flag at the top of the range here on that gas. Some things I was looking at here early on this morning. I'm actually looking at Oxy as a potential swing. I'm talking about maybe half a lot or a lot Oxy Friday expiration. So I was looking at possibly getting this um, do some energy plays today. That's what I've been looking at with what I'm seeing in the crude space, and I'm just kind of floating the idea here that you see this downtrend right here that will be coming in today, possibly breaking out of this downtrend on Occidental. So I'm keeping an eye on that as possibly a early trade this morning that I'm looking at. I don't like how the Dow's been acting. Boeing, which is technically had a really nice bounce right here Friday. I'm actually leaning more to the downside, just from a personal bias here. So I'm just looking at this downtrend here. If we come up into that as possibly a short, I mean it's contrarian to what you would think, uh, but we could very easily be coming up into that 50% retracement and possibly see a possible short here in Boeing, just because of the overall relative weakness I'm seeing out of the Dow Jones. And remember, the Dow transports, they're bear flagging right below the 50-day moving average as well. So seeing a lot of problems happening here in the Dow Jones that bothers me. Okay. And then some other ones I was looking at this morning. Uh, Looking at Meta this morning. Um, Meta looks like it's one of the few that I'm kind of interested into the upside for a day trade. Okay. Um, this one here looks like it might possibly be a recovery potential here for Meta. And then I was looking at KWEB. This is China has actually announced some stimulus programs to get people to invest in Chinese equities again. So this is one KWEB that I'm looking at here. You see this channel we're in right here? It looks like it is setting up for a breakout potential here in our China internet names. Change the pattern for a potential move higher in this range. It looks to me like we're setting up for a move back to the top of this range here, possibly 31 area here on our China internets. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Quick and dirty what I'm looking at. So it's 14 minutes. I don't really want to let it run any further. It gives you a few little ideas here. Early on this morning, yeah, it's 4:30 in the morning. Pre-market movers here. Really not a whole lot going on here. Tesla, Nvidia. Let me pull up Tesla real quick. Seems like Tesla's busy every day. So yeah. So Tesla, this downtrend, Tesla's coming right in to kick off the day. We are testing this downtrend right here on Tesla. So be mindful of that. Which moving average is at? Yeah. Okay. So on the 4-hour time frame, what I like to see is like a Tesla opening above that and then back test it for a continuation breakout. This is the 113 moving average, and instead we're coming up into that, so that could very well act as resistance today. That's the 244, 245 area. So be mindful of that. That should act as resistance. Okay, thanks a lot. I will see you guys in the trading room. And I will be running Zoom today, or I'll be in Zoom room today. So on my Discord, I'll have the link, and we'll have the link in the Slack room. It's all free if anybody wants to come in and listen and participate. That's fine. We appreciate it.